I got from my friend,
Yeah.
and it was so scary. I'm like, okay, we really need
Yeah.
to talk about these things. We really need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Some things. And underneath the flyer, I wrote, let us talk about things we ignore. Things that
Yeah.
we rarely talk about these things, and they really affect us. So talking about it is putting it out there so that we can be deliberate about these things. You can just be living your life on autopilot, and you don't know that
Yeah.
there are certain things that you need to do to keep
Yeah.
you grounded. So I'm excited that this is your field. This is what you do. Hello everyone. I won't be able to to say hi to everyone, but thank you for joining
Hi
us.
guys.
So i'm
Hi
I,
guys.
i'm
Thank
i'm
you
so
for joining.
excited.
Thank you.
Yes. And I know this conversation is going to be worth it. I'm
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be listening. I want to learn. I
Hi
want
Abdul.
to I, I really want to learn, and I
Hi
want to
Abdul. I see
practice.
you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Mm.
I mean, we
Yeah. No.
have
No.
people around, so we can just go ahead. But
Yeah.
before
You know.
you're going to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just to add to what you were saying, I thought what you were saying there was really apt. You know, the
Okay.
context in terms of having a conversation like this is that, for particularly with the several months that we've just gone through, where a lot of people have been they've lost jobs, they're in
Mm,
places of anxiety and fear.
yeah. Yeah.
They've had to juggle so much more than they've really had to needed to juggle sort of in the
Yes.
past. I know for me as a parent, as someone building a business, it's been quite a challenge in a lot of ways, and even for people that are fully employed
Yeah.
you would think ideally the scenario would not be impacted. Everybody's been impacted in some way, shape, or form.
Sure. Sure.
And
Sure.
but at the same time, we've also found ways to allow the situation to become a richer experience for us, in the sense of
Exactly.
the learning, the self-awareness that has come as a result of it, and the whole mental health wellness space
Yes.
has certainly been significantly impacted for everybody. I don't think anybody can say that
Mm-hmm.
they've scraped through
Being
without being impacted in some way,
very, very
So
correct.
it's a
And
timely conversation.
yes, and I would even like to add that COVID, came in such a way that you had to rest at some point. I look at it like nature's way of, you know, getting us to come on, rest. That's how I see it. I see it from that angle.
Yeah.
But after COVID, post COVID, what are the things that we're going to do, to create this culture? All those things, we're going to talk about it. So we're just going to get right into it. And I want to
Yeah,
read,
let's go.
your profile. So welcome
Yeah,
everybody.
don't read everything. Don't read everything. I
Everything,
mean,
sure.
people didn't
I
come
will
here
read
to
everything.
hear all of that. Yeah, they want it. They want
Yeah.
they
So,
want
but
the
it's
conversation.
important.
But yeah, by all means, yes, by all means,
It's
please do.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
Flora is a personal and career development coach, training facilitator, a workplace conflict mediator, and people management strategist. She is the host of Time with Flora talk show and podcast platforms where she facilitates career and life story conversations that inspire and educate listeners. So, I mean, the part for me that got me really excited, the workplace, um people management strategist, workplace conflict mediator, and all of that.
yeah,
I'm like, I didn't know that about you. And then when I read through, I was like, very important. And with the experience you've gathered over the years, you
yeah,
chip some of the things that we need to understand and learn in this conversation. So good to have you. Thanks for
yeah. No, it's a
honoring my
pleasure.
invitation.
It's a
I'm
pleasure.
really
Pleasure to
grateful.
be here.
Yeah. So
Thank you
yeah,
so
so
much. Thank
let's
you.
let's let's get right into the topic of
Mm,
today is
yeah,
workplace. Um, Talking about the workplace and striking a balance. So, what's the number one thing that comes to mind when we talk about work-life balance?
Yeah,
The first
yeah.
thing that comes to
Again,
mind,
yeah.
yes, please go
Yeah.
ahead.
No. Listen, I'm listening to you. We've got a bit of a delay, and so where I think
Okay.
that you have stopped, it's actually just a delay. So please complete.
Oh, okay. You didn't hear what I said?
I heard what you said, but I thought you
Oh,
hadn't
okay.
finished. That's why I stopped. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So today we're going to be talking about the importance of work-life balance. And so the key word here is work-life balance. I would like for you to, break it down. Some people don't even know what it means. You'll be amazed, like work-life balance. That's what's that? Apart from the fact that they're not, it's not like they're ignorant. They don't even know what it means in the real sense of the word. So can you please share what it means? Break it down so that would all understand what it means.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I'm going to say is that it means to you what it means to you. Because people's work and their life, our work and our lives are very unique. But, traditionally, when we would hear this work-life balance, there would be this implication or this impression. I think traditionally, when we first, I think it's been a term that's been used, I think, back in the 80s, I think, and it would tend to, what it tended to mean there was that you had personal life over here, all right, and you had your work life over here, and the idea was that they were separate, they didn't overlap, they didn't merge, and you were supposed to kind of juggle them successfully and have a full life, juggling these two things separately. The reality is that there's nothing like that. More so in the world today, and our new normal, where everything is I work from home. We've just, been coming out of a big, working from home, being forced to work from home project as a worker, somebody working full-time, part-time, whatever. We've all found ourselves having to manage this this balance of working from home and working within our personal space. So it has taken a very different dynamic, really, this whole idea. And actually, some people say work-life balance, they actually say work-life harmony, all right? In this attempt to try and envisage yourself trying to balance these two things. But as I've said, it's unique to you as an individual. There is no ideal work-life balance that speaks to everybody. Okay, so that's one thing that I need to say. I think the other thing is that work-life balance is not a static thing. It doesn't mean that how you are balancing your work and your personal life has to be one particular fixed way, i.e. it should be 50-50 or it should be 30-70. There's nothing, there's just nothing. It's a fluid thing, okay? It's not a static thing. So that's the thing that people need to recognize. And so when there's a little bit of disruption in your life, it doesn't mean that you are doing things wrongly. It doesn't mean that you have gotten your work-life balance out of control and there is no balance. What is really important and what determines how well you are managing your work-life balance or work-life harmony is how well you are intervening when things are sort of getting a bit out of hand, okay? And so there are always going to be those moments. Are we okay? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Guys, can you hear?
I'm good. Yes, they can. I'm trying to pin down.
Can we just see if our listeners are, the guys that have joined us, kind of just indicate if you can hear. It'll be nice to know that you can sort of hear everything that's going on. And so, as I was saying, it's not a static thing where it has to be 50-50. Forget it. There's nothing like that.
Somebody just confirmed it that, yes, they can hear.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Brilliant. It has to be, it's a fluid thing. It is not a static thing. Sometimes work is going to be 70, and personal life is going to be 30% maybe. Why? Because you've maybe got this big project that you're deploying. It's taking a lot of your time, and really you're getting to work very early. You're leaving work, and that might be work at home, by the way. You're leaving work very late at night, but it's for a season. It's for a season. And the thing is, the management piece is that if you have carried all the core people, the key people along with you, i.e., for example, if you're a family person, you have children, you have a life partner, or there are people in your life that would be impacted in your personal space, right? By this shift in you now investing so much in the work. If you have carried them along, they are going to be supporting you and in acknowledgement of the fact that right now for this season you cannot be around the way you need to be in the personal space. So really it is about the key thing. It's not so much that it is fluid and it's moving. It is how you have managed that change, that disruption, that you even know that there's a disruption going on, because that's one of the problems. Sometimes you don't know. And what are some of the indicators? When work-life balance is getting out of hand, all right? You're under stress. There's a lot of anxiety. You're not sleeping well. You're short-tempered with your children, with your partner,
Thank you.
All these. So if you cannot read the signs, then you are unlikely to be able to do anything about it. If you are not being as self-aware as you need to what is going on with you, then it is going to be a problem for you to even manage what you're going through. All right? You won't even have the language to converse with those around you, to let them know that look at what's going on. I cannot I cannot deal with all of this. So really it's as I said, it's a fluid thing. Get that clear. It's not a 50-50 thing. Forget it. It can't be. The thing is to be self-aware enough about yourself and about your environment, okay? And to read the signs that are an indication to you that something is off balance, okay? All right? And the better you get at that whole piece, all right, that whole self-awareness piece, that whole thing of carrying people along with you, that piece about, reading the signals, the signs, etc., and then having, let me call them coping mechanisms, if you will. We can call them so many other things. Having coping mechanisms in place that when you can see, for example, I'm not sleeping, I can't eat, then realizing, right, something's not going on here as it should do. I need to change something. I need to change something. I either need to, right, look, I'm getting home too late. I need to shut down on whatever it is I'm doing. Forget the to-do list for today. I need to shut down at 5 o'clock, so that I can spend some time, I can rest, I can have time with the family, whatever it is that allows me to calm down. All right.
Very important.
And my devices on time and whatever the case. So, I mean, you get where I'm coming from. Yeah.
This part, what you're saying now is the juicy part. For me, that's where we're talking solution. So it came very early in this conversation, but we'll still go back. We'll talk about these things, hammer on it, so that people would understand that we're not just going to have these conversations without, looking for how to prefer a solution to it. So you mentioned something, coping mechanism, and I can tell you for free that some people actually use work as a form of coping mechanism, to run away from certain things. So, and somebody mentioned yesterday, when I was telling him to tune in tomorrow to listen, because he's a banker, and he keeps saying, I don't have time. And I'm like, you need to create time to rest. You need to create time. And he said he started creating time when he fell ill. And then the doctor said, you know how this body works? If you don't give it the rest that it needs, it will take it for itself. And when, it gets to that level, you would really suffer for it. That work that you think would not go on if you're not there will go on, and you won't be able to work. So for me, that's very important. And that's something I really want us to touch on. You were saying things about how you have to be deliberate. And yes, we cannot strike a balance. It cannot be 50-50, like you said, but the consciousness, knowing that this other part is equally important. You can work 95%, but you see that 5% when you want to, give yourself the rest, give your family the attention, it should be, really quality time with those people. So I need you to talk. Somebody sent a message So where do you draw the line between working hard, and resting? When, they say work hard, play hard, and rest hard. There's this saying. So that where do you draw the line? Where do you know that you're not being lazy? Like some people tell you, this is time for me to rest. Though. So where do you draw the line that you're not trying to be lazy, you're not trying to run away from work? And, I need you to touch on that a bit.
I mean, that's such a good question. Where do you draw the line? And it's a personal thing, but if I think about myself, because I certainly have struggled. I'm building my coaching practice, and I went in full time into self-employment in March. So that was an interesting time. And it's really, I found that I've just kind of been constant on the go, trying to do this and do that and adapt to the changing environment. But
yes.
And at one point it was kind of like just go, finishing at like 6 o'clock, sometimes 6:30, and then sort of clearing the desk and switching over to, because I was working from home, and then switching over to being with the family, with my children and all of that. But then it was just an indefinite thing. And over some time, I would get the signals. One is that I would not be sleeping well. I wasn't sleeping well. My son would say something like, Mom, how come you're working late every day? These are the little things, these are the tick, tick. And at some point, and even though I'm a coach, I get coached as well. I have a mentor. I have people in my life that I check in with as my accountability partners, right? To help bring me back on track. And one of the things that I realized, and it's even conversations, it's interesting that you have, when you're in it sometimes yourself, you don't kind of realize what you're doing. But when you're talking to people, giving them advice, you're kind of like very perfect in how you do it, right? But your life sometimes is not really reflecting the advice that you're giving. but correct. But then what I realized was a couple of things I realized, and these are some of the conversations that I had, which was, what are you trying to achieve? What am I trying to achieve? What is the end goal really? What is the vision? What is the target? Because if you're not clear on where it is that you're going, and what it is that is going to be the sign that tells you that these are the goals, these are the targets that I'm trying to achieve, you'll just keep going like a hamster in a wheel.
Very correct. And you never
just
get
to be busy. Yes, just to be busy to say that, I'm getting there. Because I'm working hard, because I'm, but you're not necessarily being smart about it, And I had to check myself. And so some of the things I started to realize that just, as a business person, for example, there is a target that I have in terms of the kind of income that I need to be able to generate every month.
Yes.
That is a break-even point that says, I've even generated this number of leads, I've generated this number I've completed this number of sort of client sessions, or I've done this amount of work that is good enough for the week, for the month. All right. I'm making it very simple now. It can be more complex than this. All right.
I get it.
So if I've done that, if I've done enough that allows me to achieve that, then why am I stretching myself further just for the sake of being busy? When there are other parts of my life that may be struggling. So what I'm trying to say is, you need to have some clarity in terms of what is the purpose? Why are you doing what you're doing? Sometimes people are in a job, doing certain things, juggling so many things, and it's all, I'm just chasing the money. I'm just chasing the money. I need the money. Money to what end? What is it that you actually need the money for? You may be in, your own house. Your rent is already sorted. Maybe it's your children's school fees or whatever. You've got to be very clear about what are, and I know I'm focusing on the finance there, but sometimes that's the bit that's really relevant to people actually,
True,
and it's the things that actually keeps people on a hamster wheel most of the time. So, it's about just, if you can focus and be clear on what is the end goal of what it I'm doing. All right. How much effort is it going to require for me? And how do I strike the balance with that? Because a lot of time we are doing more than we need to do. And as you said in the example about the person, sorry, and you said in the example about the person that you spoke to, what's the point of doing all that work when you're not, you will eventually put yourself in a position that you're not even available to enjoy the fruit of your labor. Okay, that everything that you are working for, you are now no longer here to take care of it. Exactly. All right. So there's an element of it's about your goals, and it's also about being smart with your time. You've got to balance it. You have to balance it. There's something that I call WEAL. WEAL, and it's a framework that I always use to talk to people about how we execute smartly. It's just a useful way to do it. And what W stands for why. Why are you doing what you're doing? What is the end goal of what you're doing? You've got to be clear on that, so that the effort that you put in will make sense to you, and it is what will drive you and keep you motivated. The E is for the emotional intelligence. How well do you understand yourself in terms of, from a sense of well-awareness? What's good for you? What are you strong at? What are you not good at? Because a lot of times we may be throwing a lot of our energy in a way that actually it's not serving us well. Do you know yourself well enough that you are bringing and you are presenting the best of yourself to what it is that you're doing? And what about the self-awareness that other people have of you? When we talk about self-awareness, it's not just about what we think about ourselves. It's about what people around us think about us. You should just as well invest as much time and understanding in what those that are important to you, that are close to you in your life, are telling you about yourself, and use it as a way to understand the things that you need to keep doing, stop doing, or do better at. Okay. The other thing about self-awareness is there's the aspects around, the other thing about emotional intelligence is this piece around self-management, self-control, and how we handle ourselves. When we talked about this life-work balance, we talked about the triggers and understanding the things that we may be doing that are actually a sign that it's time for us to check ourselves. When we talk about the self-management element of emotional intelligence, there's something that is referred to in our brains called the amygdala attack, something that happens when we don't have enough control over how we're behaving and we're responding to situations, and then it brings out the worst in us. All right. So the better awareness that we have and the better control or self-management that we have, we are going to get that balance a lot better than we tend to. The other bit is accountability. All right. And so it's things like, who are we accountable to? Who are the people within that, within our sort of network? All right, that are checking with us, exactly, that check in with us and just make sure that we're doing things that, and sometimes, it might be really bad in the sense that you need intervention, okay? During the lockdown, I mean, we heard of increased situations where people were going through all sorts of abuse. Domestic abuse was on the rise. The fact that people spend more time, traditionally would have spent more time in the office at work, and now have to spend it at home working in an environment that actually isn't necessarily conducive for them to work. There were times it was challenging for me to work, with my children, them doing their online schooling, them needing things and me having to be there. It was hard. And it was hard for a lot of people, even though one is used to working from home, that became a challenge. You can imagine someone that, as you said, they run away to the office. The office is where they hide. The office is where they live. Home is where they sleep. Only, you can imagine how challenging it would have been for people like that during that period that we had the lockdown. And so that whole, and I do my podcast, and during the podcast period, and even now, one of the typical questions I asked was, how have you coped during that period? And what have you learned about yourself? And what a lot of people said is that they learned to be still. They learn to
Yeah.
get to know their families more. They learn to build their relationships, their personal
With your
relationships,
families.
because they
Yeah.
kind of ignored it, you know, the balance,
Yes.
the work-life balance. It wasn't working. It hasn't been working for a lot of people for a long time until that lockdown happened. You know, some people faced it. Some people, I'm sure they didn't bother. They found other ways to hide. You know,
Yeah.
so the last thing is the lifestyle. So we've said WEAL, right? So, you know, L is for the lifestyle. You know, how are you living beyond work? Okay. You know, how are you dealing with that quality time for you personally and then for others in your life? You know, how are you sleeping? Sleep is such a fundamental, important part of how we wake up to the best of our ability to a new day.
Yeah.
You
Like
know,
rebooting. You're rebooting. When you sleep, you reboot.
you reboot.
That's it.
You know, people,
Yes.
you know, this notion that you only need 3 hours of sleep and you're good to go.
No.
You will be alert physically, but
Yeah,
cognitively, you're not alert.
you're not.
You know,
That's
you
very correct.
are degrading more and more. The less, you know, you are
You
enhancing
sleep.
or, you know, speeding up the degradation of your mental awareness as you maintain poor sleeping habits. So sleep is really important. Make no joke about it. Go and check it out, you know. So that whole lifestyle, the exercise, all right? During the lockdown, we spent so much time at home. People joked about the fact that they put on more weight. You know, that physical activity, that energy in, energy out, you know, what you're taking in, and how are you working to balance the energy so that you are, you know, you are as physically active as you are taking in those calories. What are you doing about that? So the L speaks to the lifestyle. And you know, here in this part of the world, we have a huge problem with stress, high blood pressure. All these non-communicable diseases are a big problem for us. And wellness, mental health is really shining its light in that space as well. So, you know, that's kind of, I know it's a lot of stuff there, but, you know, that's the answer to your question there.
Very,
you know.
very, in fact, you just hit the nail, and key points you made, very important. Lifestyle, you have to be deliberate about it. You shouldn't be all work and nothing to balance it. You just, like you said, and sleep, you know. So I'm going to save this because you've made very valid points, and I'd really love people to watch this later for those that are not here, so they can, because I'm really learning. So I don't want us to stay too long, and I'm very happy that you're hitting the points. So somebody said, you know, working from home, you know, there was this chart. They asked, do you prefer working from home or would you rather go to the office? And the chart was somehow, when you're working from home, now they said they don't have any timeline. Some people work from morning. You might be sleepy and you just get an email, blah blah blah, come and do this, come and do that, and you know they're sort of alert. They're waiting for work, you know, because they don't really. On a good day, you go to work at 8, you close by 5. You know, there's nothing really that would happen again until the next day. But it's sort of different now. So, for someone that's looking to balance, you know, this whole work stuff, anywhere you work, you're still working because you're mentally busy, and when you're mentally busy, you may not be carrying bricks from here to there, and if you ask me, when you work with your mind, you're working with your brain, I think it's even more tasking, you know. So what would you say for someone that's working around the clock, you know, but because they're working from home, it doesn't look like they're really working, because they're not all dressed and, you know, sitting down on driving all the way to the office and coming back and all of that. So what would you say, you know, to someone that's been working like that from home from Monday to Sunday, and because you know you're working from home, it's not that serious, but you still hear them complain that it's different, you know, 9 p.m., you know, they're sending me emails to do something, you know, you're going through this the whole stress, but in a different way. So how would you advise such a person to be very conscious about what, work and taking care of themselves? What would you say to such a person?
Yeah. Thank you. That's a really good question. It really is. I'm not going to go in any particular order,
Okay.
but I think the first thing, because even this has happened to me, right?
Oh, really?
So yeah. I mean, yeah, we have those periods, right, where it's work, and I talked about it earlier as well. So
Yes.
it's so easy. It's so easy to do.
Okay.
And what I will say is that people shouldn't feel that when it does happen to them, it is it doesn't make you a bad person anyway. It's the human body and the way the human mind works. You know, we're very kind of gullible to certain things. You know, in terms of that impact our behavior, so to speak. So I mean, that's why social media has got us so caught up, right? Yeah, it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of discipline. But what I would say is the first thing I would say is that you need to be true to yourself. You need to be honest with yourself. You know, the thing is, there are signals that you are getting that are telling you that something needs to change. And it requires you to be honest with yourself.
Oh,
that is one thing.
Don't show them. Sure.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of the signs, what is it? Is it headache? Is it, short-tempered? That you're short-tempered? Is it that you're actually closing every day at a particular time?
Everybody is irritating you. You become very irritable.
Exactly. Is it that you're consistently closing at 6, 7, 8 o'clock consistently? And that's okay. Really? No, it's not. That you're struggling with your sleep pattern, that you're not even getting up from your seat just to stretch. What about the weight gain maybe? What about the fact that you may not even be eating well? I mean, there are just so many,
indicators.
That you are getting some kind of signal that is telling you something is not right. And so what I'm saying is that don't deceive yourself. Pay attention to it. Pay attention to it. And, you got to face it. So that's one. The other thing is that we just have to be more disciplined. Really. One of the apart from you kind of reading the signs in terms of indicators, sleep, weight, headaches, being irritated, not sleeping well, restlessness. If you are doing regular checkups, for example, all right, just a simple checkup, blood pressure, right?
Yes.
Blood tests, all the diabetes tests, all those kind of basic things that check all these non-communicable diseases, those simple things. Just go check, see how, and if you're doing it on a regular basis, a lot of times people even run away from those things because they know.
Yes. They'll tell you what they don't know.
I don't want you to tell me something that I'm suspecting may be going on.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why in this part of the world, we are having we're having increasing numbers of people suffering from those kind of problems. There's a reason why. Yeah. And it's part of it. It's to do with our behavior and just the way that we pay attention to things. If you look at the West, if you go to places like Europe and things like that, you will see that there's a big wellness culture in terms of people regularly exercising, investing in walking, in just doing those kind of things, right? It doesn't mean that they don't have people that don't. Of course they do,
Sure.
But we are. I mean, things have changed, but we still have a long way to go.
We have
All
a
right,
long
so
way to go.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So checking in with some of, just doing those kind of basic health kind of things is also a good way. Listen to what other people are telling you, all right?
Okay.
Even if you're not ready to listen to yourself,
Listen to
listen.
what people start to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, even if you did those things, it's almost enough. Then the thing is, what do you do? What is it that you do when you know that something is not right? Just adopt some very simple habits. Adopt some very simple habits. I mean, you're focusing on working from home, right? Okay. So one of the things that I really go on about working from home, and I work very hard to do it, is I try and be structured and disciplined in how I start my day. So I get up in the morning. I'm a big walker anyway, and at least five days a week on average, I'm going to go out for a walk in the morning because I know I'm going to be working quite a bit from home. So I go out for a walk. I know, we do our walk testing, right? Go out for my walk. I do like an hour, 5 kilometers. As long as you do consistently 30 minutes of walking, at least 5 times a week, consistently, that's good enough. And what you would see is that actually you will build up an appetite for doing more of that anyway. Nobody has to beg you. When you start to see the impact that it has on your system, all right. So apart from that, you do a bit of work. Obviously, you come back, you have your exercise, and then the other thing is the environment in which you work. Have a fixed environment that you work in. Now, this is my living room. Now, I don't have enough rooms to have a dedicated office space. So I work from my dining table. All right, I work from my dining table. Okay, so I've got my work things. I've got my work things in in my bedroom and stuff like that. And I bring my stuff out and I put it on the dining table, and that's great because then for one thing I have this dedicated space that is out of the area that I sleep. Okay. Yeah. All right. Although every once in a while I might still work from there, but primarily I work from my dining table. Okay. And what it means as well is that I'm always getting up as well. Okay. I'm always getting up. I've got this thing with my phone. Okay. I've got this thing with my phone where I've actually set 30-minute alerts on my alarm, my phone alarm. So every 30 minutes my phone alarm goes off with a message for me to move it. All right. And so I get up and I move. So that's also that's also very important as well. All right. Remember, this is all about working from home. How do you develop those really good habits, working from home? The other thing that I do is that I have an alarm that tells me to close at 5 o'clock.
Oh.
Okay.
Really?
Now I don't always obey it. Okay. I don't always obey it. I don't always obey it. What I have as my accountability partner for making sure that I wrap up in time is my children. Because when my son says to me, "Mom, you're still working," I can't tell you how much I just feel it right here. I feel like I'm letting my kids down. So that's a really good thing for me. That works for me. We are all different, and so we all have to find ways to find ways to make things work for us that make us take action. That's why this idea of having an accountability partner, an effective accountability partner, is really important. Don't have somebody that's not, if they say to you, you're not even going to say anything about it, then that's not an accountability partner. That's somebody why people like things you. Like, yeah, absolutely. Whatever it is that makes you commit, then do it. If I say to you, Grace, I'm telling you now that today I will turn off my phone at 5 o'clock. Well, I'm not really, not today. I will turn it off at 8 o'clock. But Grace, I'm telling you now, I'm going to turn my phone off at 8 o'clock, and I commit to it. And because I've been very public, because of how I am, and I know I understand myself, and I understand how I look to be accountable to people and to myself, really. I know I'm going to do that. So I will switch my phone off at 8 today. So I wouldn't bother to do that if I didn't think it was going to make a difference to the action that I would take. So that's another thing as well. What are the things that we put in place to make ourselves accountable to the actions that we need to take, so that we are being more healthier with our behaviors working from home? Because it's very easy, and there's a big blur, you see, when you work from home. You know, there are people that literally, particularly if you don't have a dedicated office space and you have some of your things in your bedroom, there are people that will get up from their bed, they will roll over, go to the bathroom, and roll into their seat, put on the laptop. In fact, as they're getting up from their bed, they're turning on the laptop to go to the bathroom. They're coming back, they're sitting. I mean, and that is the same way they'll go through the day. For them to even have a bath, you know, working from home can be very dangerous if you're not disciplined. So you need to be disciplined. And you need to have a good accountability system, all right? That will allow you, some people don't need an individual. They just need a system, maybe an alarm or something, you know, whatever works for you. Know yourself enough, be aware of yourself enough to put things in place that work for you. Know yourself.
What I hear you say is, number one, you have to be disciplined. You have to really be disciplined in a case of people working from home. You know, you sort of have the time to you're the one controlling it in a way, you know, so you have to be disciplined. I also hear you talk about accountability. You can use your device. You can use your device, your phone, to set alarms and everything that will tell you, come, this is the time to, you know, stop working. This is the time to get up and move and do something. And then if you will, you might even get somebody, as if you want an individual, to help you take it to another level. You can also, you know, do that. So I think in all the questions, you're putting in ways to deal with these things, and I really like that. So we won't have to, even if we get to the point of you summarizing, but so this is going to be the last question. So this question, I saved it, you know, it's really important. So if you are
can
going
I just say, just sorry, Grace, Grace,
please
just,
go ahead.
I just want to say, just the last point on that. If you are struggling with working from home, you're really, really struggling, then you need to get help. You need to speak to somebody, you know, and, you know, by all means, I'm happy for people to reach out to me. You need to speak to someone to help you to start to navigate your way around bringing that back to a healthy place. How you work from home. If you're struggling with it, you've tried, you've made efforts, it's not working, then you need somebody to help you with the intervention to change that. All right? So, yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Okay, very important. So, this is for employers. You know, we've talked about the individual now, so we have to talk about the employers, because somebody said, how? My oga no go hear that one. No, I need to work from Sunday to Monday. You know, my oga, I need to be productive. I need to give him results. I need to, you know. And the other one said something, sales. He said, we have to sell. We have to sell. And in my head, I know that if you don't balance some of these things, productivity would be reduced in a way. That's how I see it. And he told me, no, that they have things that will motivate them, that when they see money, that when you think about what you get, the incentive you get, you know. So I think it's really dicey. When you push somebody, you know, you push them to do certain things for you, and then would you say it's okay when you now give them money and you're pushing them, and then you don't care what they do with their time, you don't care, you don't introduce where they have to be very, very deliberate about, you know, making themselves mentally okay. I don't know how to put it, but when you're not deliberate about that as an employer, all you want is results, and then maybe you're nice, maybe you're a good employer, and then you encourage with enough money. You know, some people like, I don't have anything to worry about. I mean, the money is coming in, so it's a good motivation. So what would you say to an employer, somebody that is working with a team and needs to let them know that, yes, you have to give me results. It's also very important that the little time you have, you really need to shut down and do what you have to do. So what would you say to an employer that's out there, just so they'll be conscious about this very thing? Because some don't really care. From what I gathered, from my friends, and they said they don't care. They really do not care. They just need results. Just give me what I need to. I need sales, and I need you to give me results. So what would you say to such a boss, an employer,
Yeah.
just in that?
I mean, this is a hypothetical, really, the scenario that you're painting, because I would want to know certain things before I could respond. What are the kind of things that I would want to know? I would want to know whether I would actually want to know what is the general performance of that team. All right, all the individuals in that team. Against sorry, that's my dog.
Oh, it's fine.
This is the reality of the new normal. Sorry, I hope she's not disturbing. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, and as I was saying, I would want to know what performance looks like, not just for people within that team, but across
generally
the other salespeople within the organization as well, because this could be happening from a number of perspectives. One, it could be how that individual is operating as a salesperson. They may not be working as smartly as they should as a salesperson. They may be doing the hamster wheel thing, right? Where just chasing everything. They're not really being strategic in their sales delivery approach. I remember when I worked. Yeah, I remember working, because I worked in marketing and sales back in the UK with a telecommunications company, and I was in marketing first before I went into a corporate sales role. And what we were always very aware of all the really good sales performers, the ones that year on year always got the awards, always made the big incentives and stuff like that. And there was always one guy in particular. This guy was always top. Wow. Very gentle disposition and all of that. It didn't have anything to do with his personality per se, really, because it's all about how you manage relationships. But there was one thing that was very clear about this guy's approach. He was very strategic with how he did his job. Every Monday was his planning day. He was always in the office on a Monday, planning out his diary. How did I perform last? I mean, he would run sessions. He even mentored people. And I found that this was a pattern with not all, but most salespeople that really did well. Of course, there were those that were just very aggressive and they went after everything and they were very bullish, etc. But there were those that were just
they were very strategic.
Gentle. They just had a character that was very appealing. You liked them. You could, and what was the secret? They were just very strategic, So that always stuck with me. All right. Not everybody's a salesperson, but he was very strategic. And so that is why I say I would like to see how everybody is doing, and then you kind of look and what is it that this person, how is this individual spending their time? All right. How are they investing their time in terms of planning their activity? How are they spending their time in terms of generating leads? All right. How are they managing the leads that they're generating? How are they even managing their existing customer base to the point that they're using that to generate more business for themselves? Because there's nothing like the power of word of mouth, as you know, when you're generating business. So that's one thing. With regards to the manager now, the person that is leading that sales team, you want to kind of see you'd want to know how are they, how are they operating? What's the view of the salespeople that work to them in terms of how they manage them? You want to compare this sales managers, or let me say sales team leads performance against his peers or her peers. How are they doing? All right. How are they doing in terms of their own general performance? All right. And what about the feedback from the individual, not just the people that work in their sales team, but even their peers? What is the feedback on that? So it's not as simple as that. And for the organization as a whole, it's about the culture as well. It's about what's the sales culture like? Is it one that's really toxic? Is it one that's very, very much about that work-life balance, right? Encouraging their guys to balance the home time, the work time. Do you always find that everybody's working late into the night? It's almost a clocking in, clocking out. It's all about bums on seats. Unless I see you all your people sitting down from Monday to Friday, or they're all, you know what I mean? What is the pattern of behavior? And what is the pattern of performance? You use those things to kind of judge what is generally going on here, right? So you would have to consider a number of, you get where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm here. So, but
yeah, okay, the network was shaking.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But do you get what I mean? So it's not as straightforward.
Absolutely.
It's not as straightforward as that. There are so many perspectives before you can say this is the advice. And of course, if it then is the case that this individual is in an environment, they're actually very strategic, they do their best, they are very self-aware, they actually have, they're in an environment where either the, oops, she's gone. Are you there?
No, I'm here.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. Okay, I'll carry on. They're either in an environment where, the sales manager is toxic, the team lead that they have is toxic, or the environment is toxic. Then it comes down to them making a decision. Can they cope? Can they manage? Yeah? Do you understand? If that is actually the environment, that's the way it is. Push, push, push. Then it comes down to them. Maybe they want to be strategic about this. Let me achieve this. I will sit it out for the next 3 months. I will, what it is. But you then make a conscious decision. You then become very clear that this is the environment that I'm in. I know it is like this. I accept it. These are the implications of it. This is how it can impact me. How am I doing? How's my health while I'm here? What's my blood pressure like? What's the likelihood of what's the risk of what could happen to me if I carry on in this environment for the next 6 months? To my health, to my family, to my marriage. Do you understand? You then make an informed decision.
Wow. Nothing to add. You've answered my question. You said you're not going to answer it because you need some information, but you've answered as far as